Hello and welcome to another episode of Starside Chat. I am one of your hosts, Aaron, and with me as always is Zach. How's it going, Zach?
Good. I think you've been doing the orchard thing recently. I think it might be my turn this weekend.
Ooh, really?
My brother's in town, and so we might meet up with my parents and go check out the orchard.
What's your number one thing you're looking forward to from the orchard?
Corn maze.
Oh.
Actually, I don't actually know what type of place we're going to go to, but they always have a corn maze.
A thing that I love and I look forward to, which I had never had before I went to an orchard, is an apple cider slush, which is like a cold, basically icy of apple cider. And I love to get it.
Yeah, I probably won't partake in some of that stuff because it probably has like sugar and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But you know, it does sound good.
I experienced a corn maze in my previous trip to an orchard, and it was great. It was a problem I have with corn mazes is sometimes you'll get a corn maze that is purely aesthetic, wherein like they've built it strictly for the sky view of it, like it's a piece of art, which is cool. Like you can see, I went to one that was like cryptid themed. I think it was 2 years ago, where from above you could see like Bigfoot, and there was like a bunch of like a Mothman, things like that. But going into that was very confusing because it's not really made to be a maze. It's more made to just be art. It's like a drawing. So there's a ton of dead ends. And the one I went to last week or the week before, that was a maze where like they didn't care what it looked like from above. So it was much easier to navigate. And I preferred it.
Yeah, the one I went to last year was sort of a little bit of both, where like it had like an aesthetic thing from if you took an overhead shot, but you could also very clearly navigate it.
Was
from
actually
start
a maze.
to finish. Yeah, so that's preferable. Hopefully, whichever orchard we end up going to, that ends up being the case. But
orchard season on Starside Chat.
Yeah. Also, Sony State of Play season.
It's true. This happened on Tuesday, I believe. Tuesday or Wednesday. Did you get a chance to watch it live, or how did you experience this?
No, I had to watch it later because I was at work when it was happening live. But I did. I also, you know, your phone blows up with all these like Twitter notifications and all of this stuff. So I did have the big thing spoiled from this before I got to watch it. But I don't know how you want to tackle this state of play.
Let's do the biggest thing last. Let's go, I guess, from like I have kind of ordered these, and actually, let me make one change, and then it will be in order of things I'm interested in. Just gonna move this down and this up, and now it is in the correct order. So the first thing, which I'm least interested in, is they are remastering Horizon Zero Dawn for the PS5. What do you think of this?
This had a little bit of that when they announced the remaster of, what was that, zombie post-apocalypse
Oh,
game?
yeah, the one where you're on a motorcycle and you have to like care for your
Last of Us.
Oh, Last of Us.
Last of Us remastered. When they did that, and everybody was like, does it need remastered?
Yeah, it's not been long enough, I feel.
Yeah, this is a little bit that energy. And they're like, yeah, it's gonna, run on your PC and your PS5, and it's gonna be more brought up to the look of Forbidden West, which is the more recent one that came out on PS5. And like, okay, that's great, but it seems a little soon, especially since I feel like that first game, you could probably go back to it and play like your old PS4 copy on your PS5, and it would probably still look pretty good.
I feel like, yeah, there should be a moratorium on remastering games from just the previous generation. I feel like it needs to be 2 generations removed before I'm actually interested in a remaster, and it's been long enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it if Sony was like, hey, studio that made the Horizon games, you were talking about doing a remaster of the first game. How about instead of doing that, here's this other project that needs remastered from like a long time ago. What if you remastered that instead? I wouldn't hate if that were the case, but
Well,
I guess we're getting a remaster of Zero Dawn.
Speaking of remasters, what do you know about Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver?
I've heard the name and I know people like it, but I have never played these games.
I played one of these games, I believe on PlayStation 2 when I was in high school. I don't remember which one I played, but it was one where, and I don't know if this is the case for all of them, it was one where half of the time you played as Kain, who is a vampire, and the other half you played as the Soul Reaver, whose name I forgot, but I believe starts with an A. And it was interesting because it was kind of chapter-based. You'd be Kain for a while, you'd be Soul Reaver for a while, and it was somewhat different gameplay, but both of them revolve around basically getting an enemy down enough to the point where you can, like, in the case of the vampire, you can suck blood out of them, or in the case of the Soul Reaver, you suck their soul out of them. So both of them kind of have this, like, vampiric thing where you're taking people down. And I really liked it. We rented it for like 2 weeks in a row from a Blockbuster, not to date myself. But this was before like YouTube walkthroughs, and we got to a point in the game where we didn't know what to do. It's not really open world, but it is kind of like open zone, kind of. It's kind of like a Devil May Cry almost. And we kept searching. There was a game fax that just said, go to the library after this like boss, and we couldn't find the library. So we just had to stop playing it. But I have a lot of nostalgia for whatever game that was. I don't think it was 1 or 2. But I'm into this. I think this is a cool game for people to re-experience. And I hope these remasters are done well.
Yeah, another thing they had, which I thought was pretty exciting, was these Astrobot speed levels that they're adding.
Free DLC.
Free DLC adding, I believe it was like 5 speedrun levels and like 10 new bots to rescue that's coming this fall. Like one of the bots, it was very like Helldivers themed, it seemed like, the little trailer they had. But that's cool. That's, I believe, a free add-on.
Yeah, I don't think you have to pay for it. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so that's exciting. But yeah, I know you're excited about Alan Wake stuff. You still haven't played Alan Wake?
Yeah,
2?
I haven't played Alan Wake 2, nor have I played Alan Wake 1, but I love Control, and I love Remedy, and I think maybe this Halloween I will purchase Alan Wake 2 and play through it as a scary game, just because I love the world that it's in. I love how like weird it is. Even though it might be too scary for me, I think I'll try to play it on easy so I don't die all the time. But yeah, they revealed Alan Wake: The Lake House DLC, which centers around a Control agent. I forget what the bureau is called, but it's a bureau agent, and they're investigating this paranormal thing in a lake house. New characters. I don't know if Alan Wake will make an appearance. I believe he briefly made an appearance in the last DLC, but that was centered around 4 different characters that were not Alan Wake. I don't know. I might have a review of Alan Wake 2 in October if I can get my guts up to do it. But I thought this was a cool trailer. They always have good trailers.
They did have some more from Dragon Age Veilguard.
What's your temperature on that right now?
I don't know, actually. The more I hear about it, the more I question. Because, like, there was a bunch of previews where a bunch of games media people got to like play it, and they were all wildly hot on it. But like, I feel like every YouTube video I watch where people are talking about it is the exact opposite, where everybody's super down on it. I think it has a weird look to it, to be honest.
Really?
I don't know if I love the art style. They've made weird changes to it. So like the Canary are like this race of people that have like horns and stuff. And I feel like BioWare did a thing like in Star Trek, where like modern Star Trek, they sort of more human, made the Klingon more human-like.
No, they made them less human-like.
They like toned down all of their features.
In
Klingon.
In what's it called? In the original
Dragon
series.
Age. Yeah. Sorry, I was talking about. So in Star Trek, they basically took the Klingon and they got rid of their weird wardrobe that looks like it would have come from like an alien, like alien tastes, I guess, that are not human. And they basically clothed them all in very, what looks like would have come from Earth, basically. And they toned down all of their features so they more or less look human. Don't know why they did that, but they thought might as well do that. And basically BioWare has done the same thing with the Canary, where they all look more or less, they've really softened the features and made them all look human, and they just happen to have horns now, which is like a weird thing to do. So people are not into that. But like the character creator has like really weird features to it as well, where like people were complaining, I don't know if you care about this or not, but people were complaining about the fact that you can't really like expand people's features or make them very like voluptuous, basically. You can't like, so if you're like a larger person, you can't make a character that looks like you, essentially. So they've like, basically everybody is very flat or whatever. It's weird. Also, there was like a clip going around on social media where somebody had like done some alterations to the characters that were revealed in the trailers, and it was really revealing because it made it so that the art style looked like everybody's head was too big and their shoulders were too narrow. And so they're like, if you just shrink the head a little bit and you broaden out the shoulders a little bit, they start looking like actual people. But for whatever reason, the art style is just like really weird to me. So I don't know.
This has reminded me of something I wanted to talk about. Are you familiar with the YouTuber Any Austin?
No.
I don't remember. I think it was actually my brother that got me into him. He got kind of big by doing these weird things where he would follow everyone in a Skyrim town and figure out if they had a job or not, and like talk about like job numbers for different towns. I really like that series, and I've watched all of them. He has gotten more popular recently by doing this thing where he will kind of go over maps of places and figure stuff out. Like he did a thing where like, where does all the water come from in Breath of the Wild, and he tracks all the rivers, or like how many bombs actually went off on the map of Fallout 3. Very interesting stuff, and I think he's really funny. So shout out to Any Austin. But he did a video recently that was all about this one specific level in a Call of Duty game, and how it's like it feels more real than other games because of like all of these things that he brings up. Definitely you should watch that video. But an interesting thing he talked about, which this is reminding me of, is most games, the proportions are like wildly off for gameplay mechanics. So like shoulders are wider and heads are bigger for reasons that like our brain doesn't think about, because the thing that really stood out to me is doorways are usually like 1.5 times bigger than they're supposed to be. Like if you stop and look at a doorway in a game, it's like way higher than it should be, just because that is like makes it better for games. And in this specific Call of Duty level, that's not the case. But I don't know. I wonder if they were like hamstrung by some sort of design thing where they were like, well, all characters have to be like 1.5 times wider for some reason. And so let's just like try to figure out how to make that work. It's interesting. I've never played a Dragon Age game before. I haven't played a BioWare game since Mass Effect 3, which is kind of crazy. So,
well, they've had a lot of misses since then, so that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like a weird sort of almost airbrushed look to it that seems off to my brain. But I also think a little bit it's one of those things where like, you think about it now because all you have to look at is trailers, and so you just like overanalyze every aspect of it, and so it's probably one of those things that once you start playing the game, you stop thinking about it and it doesn't become an issue. People love to overanalyze trailers and nitpick every little thing about it, but I don't know. It could be fun, it could be good, but I don't know. I feel like this is one of those games where the people on like different internet communities are like very down on it for some reason. And I think some of it is because of the art style. Some of it is because of the character creator. And there's like a weird disconnect between the people who have like played it in previews, who are really like red hot on it, and like the community who's watching this stuff and going, really? Why this game? Some of it is like the cinematic trailers they released as well. It was like they were poorly done, poorly executed, because they looked like hero shooters.
Yes.
Is what that initial trailer that they showed where they were unveiling all the different characters. They just, I don't know why, but they made it look like it was a hero shooter, and it's definitely not that, but you need to sell it as an RPG. I guess I can't put my finger on a good explanation, but it is that thing that happened with Star Trek where it starts to feel too corporatized and doesn't feel like they've left behind the roots a little bit. And so I'm worried that is the case with this game, where it's not going to have like the original lifeblood that made the Dragon Age games what they are and sort of built that fan base. And now they've gone in a really corporatized, like please the widest number of people type of thing. And maybe it'll still be like a fun game, but I don't know. So I've been back and forth on whether I'm going to pick this game up and play it or not, but I don't know. It's complicated is where I'm at with it right now.
What did you think of the most striking thing we'll talk about at the end, but the other most striking thing I saw was a new trailer for something called Hell Is Us. What did you think of this? I was charmed by this.
Which one was this again?
I put a link to the trailer in the show notes. This seems to be a post-apocalyptic world, possibly European, and you are a person in like a trench coat type thing or like a hood, like a rain hood, and you have technology. So you've got like a little drone that follows you around, but you also have a magic sword, it seems, or different magic weapons. And there are these weird faceless monsters that you are attacking in kind of a melee type thing. It's got a very unique look to it because it kind of mixes like magic as well as kind of post-apocalypse. How did you feel? What did you think about this?
I'm watching the trailer now because I completely forgot about this. But
I thought this looked very cool.
It looks a little bit like, what is that? Death Stranding if it were a Souls-like.
Yeah. Big Death Stranding vibes, but like more frenetic and like action focused. And it does seem like there's also puzzles, perhaps. I don't really know what the story of the game is, or like it seems to be open world, I would think. I don't know if there's like dungeons you're going to, but I am into this. I like this a lot, actually. I like how this looks.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't initially pick this one out as something that I would keep on my radar, but now that you mention it and I rewatched this trailer, it does seem pretty interesting.
It's got an interesting look to it. Okay, so that was all precursor to the thing we really want to talk about. They really ended this on a high note. They revealed a full sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, and it is Ghost of Yotei. Is that how you pronounce that? Yotei?
Yeah, sure.
Yotei, which is a big mountain, I guess. Or like it's northern Japan, perhaps. And I loved this trailer. The music in it, especially, was like really good. There's like a lot of like picking up the beat, and then like stuff is happening. There's specifically a scene where like there's like a wolf, and then the girl looks at the wolf, and then they both look away, and then this like string instrument picks up, and I was all about it. What'd you? Because you were like, I think you completed. Did you platinum Ghost of Tsushima?
Did I? I think I might have.
I think you might have.
But then they added new content, so I have more stuff that I would have to go back and get. Yeah, I loved that first game. And I actually, before this State of Play, for whatever reason, I went back and rewatched some of those initial trailers that they released. Because I was thinking about Ghost of Tsushima again. And I was like, man, that was a great game. And it's one of those games where like some of the trailers were like so cool because you had such a good villain in that first game. And there's that part where like it's really right towards the beginning of the game where he's like sort of interrogating somebody, and he has that long speech about like how he came there and learned their language and everything, and he figured out which cities to burn and all of that stuff. And he like it's such a good villain speech that happens, and there was a trailer where it's mostly that speech with like cut to different images across the game. So well done. But then you also have, there was like another story trailer that gets into sort of the confrontation between Jin and his sort of father figure in that game. And I was like, man, that story was pretty good. People don't give it enough credit for being like a good story. They just think of it as like an open world game that has a forgettable story. But I don't think so. I think it was the main character and the story was better than people give it credit for, which is why I was a little bit bummed to see this trailer and realize that they've moved on from that character. And I guess from now on, they just have a different ghost for each game? Question
Well, I was going to
mark?
ask you, like, I should have done research on this because they said a date at the beginning of this trailer, and I didn't know how lined up it was with Ghost of Tsushima. If it was years later, if it was only like, or if it was before even. So I wonder if it is somewhat concurrent, if he will appear at some point.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that, so I don't know when.
It was like 16 something. It said like Yotai, Mountain of Yotai or whatever, 1649 or something like that. I don't know.
I could not tell you when the first game takes place and how far apart they are, but
Well, here's another question I have is, I played probably like 20 hours of Ghost of Tsushima, and for whatever reason I dropped off, but it was very beautiful and I want to play more. Maybe I will someday, but I don't know. Could you use two swords at once in Ghost of Tsushima, or is that a new thing they're adding for this character?
You would think I would know that. Actually, I don't remember. It's been too long since I played that game. I know you had different stances to deal with different types of enemies, but I think you might have only had a sword.
I also saw, so there's a quick bit at the end. Most of the time in this trailer, the main character is like samurai mode, but then at the end of the trailer, there's a quick cut of like all of the ghost things that she can do. And one of them was like a chain weapon, which I thought was very cool. In a Dungeons and Dragons game I played for a long time, my character mostly had one of those like chain weapons with like a ball on the end, because I really like that, how that looks. So I thought that was cool, but I don't know how deep, if it's just like a gadget they can use, or if it's going to be like fully, you can just like be in chain mode. But I liked the look of this a lot. It was like they really nail making nature look beautiful and also very diverse, like depending on where you're at. There's like so many crazy giant fields of different color flowers and stuff, and there's like there's a really striking shot in this trailer where there's like a bunch of horses that you're riding alongside, which is cool.
The first game had a way of mixing in each, like in a lot of games you'll have, oh, this is the winter region, this is the fall region, and this is the summery beach area. And they were able to do that in a very cool way where it felt natural. But yeah.
Do you think you're going to be climbing the mountain to get to something?
Probably. I wonder if it's like the centerpiece of the map. And
interesting,
like,
yeah, maybe.
It's sort of Skyrim style. You got to get up there and talk to the Greybeards.
High Hrothgar.
Yeah.
The other thing,
the way of the voice.
What is it? The thousand steps, the throat of the world.
Yeah.
She has a little guitar on her back, or some, I don't know what the actual name of it is, but it's some sort of string instrument, which I think in the main character, or in the first game, you had like did you have a flute?
Maybe.
Didn't you like play a flute to talk to foxes or something?
I don't think so. I think you just followed them and they would lead you to some sort of collectible, and then you would like pet them like they were your puppy dog, and then they'd run away.
They just said 2025 for this, I believe. So it is coming out at some point. Which also came out this week that Assassin's Creed game set in Japan is also, it's being pushed back to 2025, like I think February in 2025, as opposed to.
I'm not gonna lie, this game is gonna eat that game's lunch. Yeah. Hardcore.
I mean, just aesthetically, it's just I think Was it that I can't remember which game it was that you took a bunch of screenshots of and showed me, and all of them were just gorgeous? Do you remember doing that?
It probably was Ghost of Tsushima.
Just like every scene, even from this trailer, there's that great scene where like she's in the foreground and the huge mountain is in the background, and it just looks, it's such a beautiful shot. They really just like put care into framing, and just I bet the plot of this one as well will have a lot of care taken with it, as opposed to, I don't even know what Assassin's Creed games are anymore. I don't know if they still take place kind of in the future, or if they're totally not doing that anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, also, like, so Ghost of Tsushima, when that game came out, everybody was like, oh, this is what people wanted from Assassin's Creed for forever. And then they didn't do it for a long time. Then they finally got around to it. And now, you know, the Ghost of games exist now.
The Ghost of games, as
they're called. The Ghost of games, yeah. And so they have to compete with this. But also, they pissed a bunch of people off with that trailer. Multiple trailers and like gameplay showcases of that game, especially in Japan. Like there's a petition going around to like basically make that game not exist or something. I don't know, but there's like a whole controversy around that because they took a real life person from history that I can't remember his name. I think it's Yusuke, who's like an interesting person in history, and if they had done a game based on that character and told his story, that would have been like a really cool, really interesting, like historical thing. And like Assassin's Creed sort of prides itself on being like historically accurate, such that they can take some of those games and do like you can do them in VR or whatever, and like teachers will take them in the classroom to take you on like a tour of different like historical sites and all of this stuff. And so they do that, but they also make it this weird historical fiction thing. And so it is not Yusuke's story. He's just a person that they've decided to do something very fictional with. And so like the people of Japan are like, you're messing with our history and our culture. Stop doing that.
Can't you, but on the same token though, can't you buy like a gun that shoots swords from Leonardo da Vinci in one of the previous games?
I don't know. Can you?
I think so.
I haven't played any of the games.
He's like your pal in all the... Oh, man. What is that called? What's the guy's name? Because they did 3 of them in Italy, didn't they? I'm so out of touch with all this stuff.
Yeah.
The something trilogy. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway.
Ezio?
Yes, that was it. You pulled it out of your hat. At the Ezio trilogy.
I played the first one of those.
Man,
I think that was like the last time I played an Assassin's Creed game.
Sometimes I wish I had stayed on, because I think those Ezio games were like the last time maybe they were super good, because there was like a full trilogy of like connected story, as opposed to just being like, well, now you're somewhere else. Now you're in America and like this is happening, and now you're in London and it's like not connected at all. But I don't know. There are too many of them, Zach.
There's too many. I don't know what they're doing with them. Either way, I just know I'm not super up on it, but I know there's been like a lot of controversy around that, where a lot of people are very anti it for the way they've gone with it. And there's like a whole big petition in Japan going around because people hate it, the way it sort of fictionalizes their history and culture in weird ways. So
I take that back, actually. I'm looking at it now. The one that I wanted to play was the Egypt one, because that was the one that had the tie-in with, I think, Final Fantasy 13, because you could get a camel that looked like a chocobo, and then also you could do a thing where somehow like the gods or whatever send you the sword from, it's whatever one where you could throw the sword and then you zap to the sword. The one where you're like a bunch of bros in a car. Do you remember that Final Fantasy game? I didn't play it.
Oh yeah, which one's that? 15?
As 15, I thought 15 was the latest one that came out. Or was that 16?
It's either 15 or 14. One of them is the MMO, and the other one is the one where it's dudes in cars.
Too many of those too. I'll say that. But that one, I saw a trailer for that. I was like, man, I could get a chocobo. I would play to get this chocobo. But the Valhalla one just was not interesting to me at all. And also the Greece one was also just like, I don't really care about this.
Isn't the Greece... wait. The Greece one is the one that was Project Stadia or whatever it was called.
Project, what was that called? I think I still have the bookmark, actually.
Because that one seemed cool. And
Project Stream.
Yeah, that one seemed cool. And then, obviously, the Viking one is really well liked. And that one seemed cool. I don't know. I don't have a dog in this fight because I don't really care about Assassin's Creed. But I'm just vaguely aware of like a lot of conversation around that.
Well, let me tell you about something you will care about. Or I guess actually, is there anything else you want to talk about from the state of play?
I was gonna. Oh yeah, there were some like remasters or like old games that were coming back that people were excited about. I follow that Happy Console Gamer, and he has talked about Lunar as being like a classic RPG, like JRPG series that he's loved from way back when. And so when I saw a trailer that they're remastering that and it's coming back on PlayStation, I was like, oh, that guy's going to be talking about this. But yeah, and then they showed more Monster Hunter Wilds, and we're still seeing more about this game that is still like so far away, it feels like.
Yeah.
But I don't understand. And then there was that Midnight Walk game.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that. It's like a kind of a claymation. It's in VR, right?
I believe you can play it in VR, but it's not a VR game.
Okay.
Because I believe there's like you can play on PS5 and PS5 VR 2, but it's coming in spring. But it looks like they've like this is the next game from the people who made Lost in Random. Which this looks more like what I was expecting from a follow-up to that game. We talked a couple of weeks ago about how they're doing a sort of Hades-like as Lost in Random. So I don't know what's going on there, if maybe they pass that off to somebody else or if they're just making two games at once. But yeah, I believe they used like maybe sets and like props and like actually scan them in. And so it looks like stop motion, but yeah, this is a cool looking, interesting game to me that I might check out when it comes out.
I agree. It's kind of a crazy week because so Jeff Keighley at the beginning of the week tweeted like a big week for shows because there was the Sony State of Play. There was also a weird like Sonic the Hedgehog press conference on I think Monday or Tuesday, which I think the only big thing out of that was that they're adding Shadow to some game that already is out, and also Keanu Reeves is going to be voicing him in that game. But and like parts of the game are based on the movie that's coming out. Not important. The other thing that's happening this week is the Tokyo Game Show, and I don't know if it's like still in progress. I've only seen a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but I thought you would be very interested, and I'm very interested in a game they showed called Threads of Time, which I believe is a kind of a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger, however you say it. It is a game where there's a bunch of different time periods that you're kind of cycling between, and it is a gorgeously made 2.5D RPG. There's some animated cutscenes that just look like regular cutscenes, but when you get into the game, it is that it's like Octopath Traveler basically, where it's just this like very rich, beautiful backgrounds, and the combat system is also just like gorgeously animated, where like the camera kind of swings around when you do moves and stuff. But I thought this was beautifully made. Like the art direction of it is gorgeous. There's a future world where you're fighting robots. Did you watch this? Did you see this trailer?
I'm just watching it now for the first time, and it looks really cool.
It looks really interesting because like the main conceit of the trailer is this big clock throne that this person is sitting on, and throughout the trailer, the like hand of the clock is going to different time periods, and there's like there's like 8 of them or something. So there's like the far past, the far future, there's different eras basically. And each time you go to a different era, there's like a cool animated cutscene, and then you like go into what it actually looks like. And I don't know the plot of this game or anything, but man, does it look good, I think. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I've seen like there are multiple games like this that really sort of capture that old school sort of SNES era like JRPG that I'm like, oh, this looks so good. I want to get into it. And then for whatever reason, I'll like pick it up and start playing it, and I will fall off of it for some reason. That happened with Sea of Stars, which it was like, that's going to be like so good. And so I bought it and was like all in on, let me play this. And I don't know if it just like timing wise didn't like fit with my schedule at the time very well, that I just couldn't devote the time to it. But also, I think I found it like much harder than I was expecting to for some reason. But I struggled to get into Sea of Stars for some reason after it came out. I love when we played the demo and we talked about that initially. Yeah, I loved the demo. I was like super into it. I was like, I would play a lot more of this. But then when it came out, I just never got around to it. But so I hope that doesn't happen with this should it come out and I decide to go for it. But it looks really good, I have to say.
And then the other thing I saw I wanted to shout out, We Love Katamari Reroll Plus, which is, I recently replayed We Love Katamari Reroll, I think on Switch, and was delighted. And now it's on Xbox and PC as of whenever this show was, so it's out right now. And if you haven't played, I guess obviously start with Katamari Damacy, which I think is on everything. You can get it on, I think it might even be on Game Pass. This is the sequel. And I believe there's some added content because it's called We Love Katamari Reroll Plus. And I don't know what the plus is, actually. But obviously it's HD. And it looks great. And anytime I can shout out We Love Katamari or Katamari Damacy, I will shout it out. Because they're both like very concise little games that are very funny and are great for like just a quick weekend. I think Tokyo Game Show is still going on because I thought there was supposed to be a huge Death Stranding 2 thing happening, but that has not happened yet. It might be happening today as we're recording this, but we'll have coverage on that next week if it does happen this weekend.
The character from this Katamari reroll thing shows up in Astrobot. He's one of the bots you can save. Which is funny because like the shape of that character in Astrobot form is something not right about it. But but I guess there's something not right about that character to begin with.
I have a segment for us.
Okay.
This is called Things to Buy ? Actually, I should probably put parentheses probably not after that. But I saw these 3 physical items that were talked about this week. And I was like, I want to talk about this. The first one, if we were both still playing Destiny, I would definitely pick this up. Destiny 2 has released a collaboration with Nerf, and it is a 1-to-1 sized Ace of Spades, Cade's gun that you can get. And it actually shoots. It actually shoots Nerf darts. So I famously got that Apex Legends gun, which is very cool, but does not shoot darts or anything like that. This is a full-sized hand cannon that does say Nerf on it, which you could probably block out or whatever. But it has a cartridge and can fire darts and is a fully working Nerf gun that you can purchase if you're still playing Destiny and if you have nostalgia for Destiny 2, you can pick up the Ace of Spades.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like the kind of thing that would be cool to have even for someone like us who has dropped off the game a long time ago, but has like a lot of nostalgic memories for the game.
It is like $50, I believe.
Ugh.
So,
well, the cosplayers are going to love it.
Yeah. Secondly,
there is a picture of it and it dwarfs the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, it's giant. Because I guess hand cannons you forget that Guardians are like 7 feet tall or whatever because they're like super jacked guys or whatever. But, secondly, Kinect was this week, which is like used to be Oculus Connect, but now it's Meta Connect because they bought it, whatever. But they revealed the Quest 3S, which I don't know if I probably will not buy, but it's kind of it's a cheaper version of the Quest 3. It's only $300. I think the Quest, the Quest 3 is like $500, I want to say. But if you're looking to get into VR gaming, this is, I think, the most affordable option at this time. I probably will not buy this, but I do eventually want to get into VR. I don't think this is my avenue in. And then finally, Zach, what are your thoughts on the movie Demolition Man?
I definitely have nostalgic memories for watching this movie way back in the day.
As do I. They're releasing a 4K Ultra HD edition that comes with a bunch of frames. There's a very cool box. There's some cool stickers. There's a sticker of 3 seashells, which I think is very funny. So if you are someone who collects physical media, which everyone should do because physical media is great, Demolition Man will be purchasable. It may even be on sale now. If you have nostalgia for this movie, check out the Demolition Man Ultra HD 4K Special Edition that comes with a bunch of stickers and cool stuff.
Yeah, it looks like maybe a poster in there as well.
Yeah, I think there's a poster. So 3 items, none of which I probably will purchase, but interesting things for people who like those things.
Yeah, the fact that you're talking about like physical media made me think of it because we've talked in the past about how we've gotten back into reading a little bit this year.
Yeah.
And you have a Kobo, was it?
Yes, I do. A Kobo.
And I have a Kindle. And then I watched some video from some YouTuber talking about how they're like ditching Amazon and Kindle and all of that because there's like been a little bit of a controversy about them changing or removing books from like digital libraries.
Terrible.
Which sounds obviously bad, but they're like, yeah, you only own a license to like access it. You don't actually own the book. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess we kind of know that, but it doesn't really hit home until they actually remove something. And I forget which book he was talking about, but they had actually like removed a book and it annoyed him that like when you scroll through your library and the Kindle, it like they can at any time just update the like the thumbnails, the pictures of the books that are in there. And so you might have one that looks pretty cool and then they'll update it and change it. And there was like, I think it was maybe it was even like Lord of the Rings or something where they had like replaced the cover images to like match with like the dumb Amazon Prime show that they have that nobody likes. And he was like, yeah, this is awful. I think you can turn like the auto update it or change off, but like it's just like, I don't know. Digital purchases is sort of I think we're getting to a point where people are realizing it's not all it's cracked up to be, and that in a lot of cases owning physical media is preferred, and maybe books is possibly among those, but
I agree.
So unfortunately for this week's episode, neither of us have picked up Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, though it has released as of this recording. So maybe we will circle back around to that next week. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll probably have some hours in it by next week.
So we can talk about it then. But a game that is out that I have been playing is Balatro, because the mobile release actually happened just a couple days ago as we're recording this. And I've tried it out on my phone and on my tablet, and it's great. They do alter the controls a little bit based on what you're used to from playing it on PC. You would think it would be more of a one-to-one type of a change, because tapping with your finger is essentially the same as clicking with a mouse. But I think when you're playing on PC, you can click on like a card pack or something like that, and it will give you the option to click on like to, you know, purchase this or sell it or whatever. Whereas now with the mobile version, it's like a click and drag, and they've just like highlighted different areas where you drag the card to either purchase it or sell it or use it or something like that. But
interesting.
So there's just slight little tweaks that they've made like that to how it works on a touchscreen as opposed to on a computer. But otherwise, it's still Balatro, so it's still fun and addicting, and I really enjoy that game. I'd actually started playing more of it. I jumped back into it on PC before the mobile release, so I was already like primed to be like, yeah, let's play more of this game. And then it came out on mobile, and I started playing it. I was like, yeah, this is great. And I got to check out, there was that trailer from, maybe it was like a Nintendo Direct or something a while ago, where they were like, hey, here's some...
Oh, all the collaborations?
Collaborations and tie-ins with like Dave the Diver and Vampire Survivors. And there were a couple others. I forget which ones. But those are just like visual tweaks. You now have an option in the menu, like the settings menu, for... I forget even what... maybe it's customization is the option. You click on that and it'll let you basically swap out the face cards to have like the different themes from those different tie-ins. So that's kind of cool. It's just like a little thing that you can have in the game. But yeah, I suspect that game is going to rate very highly when people are putting together top 10 lists. And it probably, unless I'm misremembering or forgetting something, I think it will end up being Indie Game of the Year.
Oh, and well, I don't know. What about Animal Well?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be between those two.
100% I think it's Balatro. But Animal Well will get a mention. Just knowing like the way the games media tends to go about this, I feel like there's been a lot more discussion about Balatro than Animal Well. But maybe it's the circles I've been listening to. But yeah, I think it'll be probably in the mix for Game of the Year as well. So I'm trying to predict and guess how the games media will handle it, because they always basically have the final say in what gets ranked and what gets nominated and wins. But
I'm interested. I mean, I am interested in this year's Game Awards because Keighley has been tweeting like, hey, it's the 10-year anniversary. This is one to watch. Like something, it's going to be some crazy stuff, which I mean, unfortunately, I think his shows have become sort of hit or miss for me. Like, I feel like the highs were years ago, like back when they were still announcing Smash characters at the Game Awards. And recently there's been like cool stuff, but nothing where I've been like, whoa, this is crazy. And so hopefully he is able to pull out all the stops and this 10-year anniversary just blows everybody away. But I don't know what he could have that would do that. So
yeah, I mean, it's a little bit been the same for Summer Games Fest. I feel like the last 2 or 3 years in a row, they're like opening night live has been like a really sort of underwhelming showcase.
Definitely long, but unfortunately the content in them was not exactly what we were looking for. Yeah,
and like the Game Awards is almost more so about the announcements now than it is about the awards, because a lot of the awards get like sort of rattled off like quick succession. Here's
best esports coach.
Yeah, they have a bunch of awards nobody cares about, but also like some of them, even like, you know, best action game or best, like the awards that people are a little bit interested in, even some of those get rattled off. And like just before we go to break, here's like a quick summary of what won this and that. And you just kind of go, isn't this an award show? But I guess more people are tuning in for the announcements than they are.
I definitely am.
So I get it, but then it just means that some of the studios that made those games don't really get their moment to shine. They don't get to go thank everybody. But and maybe you would feel okay with it if they're doing more of this. Hey, check out this new Legend of Zelda thing that Nintendo's announcing, but they haven't really been doing that either. So
here's my prediction. Because I think the most fun stuff that has ever been in a Game Awards is Nintendo-based. And they have sat out a lot of years where there's just no Nintendo stuff. And if the rumors are true and the Switch 2 is announced in October, that means there is space for game trailers for the Switch 2 to be released between October and, let's say, March when it comes out, if that, in fact, is when it comes out. So Keighley could have a trailer for like a new Mario game or like that supposed Donkey Kong game that's been in the works. He could have some legit Nintendo stuff to reveal at the Game Awards. And if that happens, good for him. That would be great. But my hopeful prediction is that he will have some Nintendo stuff this year. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it seems more likely given that the Switch 2 is so imminent and that they're going to have a launch lineup to unveil, that something will be there, but we don't know what.
I think I talked about this last week even, but I predict UFO 50 will be a launch title for the Switch 2, as well as Hades 2 will be a launch title for the Switch 2. Those would be huge gets.
Well, I mean, what do you mean by launch title?
It'll be a console exclusive.
Oh, I don't think that.
For UFO 50?
For Hades 2.
Maybe not for Hades 2, but I think for UFO 50. Because that's such a good game. So many of those games are, like, you can have 2 players playing them, which is perfect for a Switch. You get the 2 controllers.
Yeah. I don't know. It would be a big get if they could get it, I guess, but I don't know if they will. I guess it depends on if they throw some money at the people that made it, but
we'll see.
But yeah, if they get the Silksong announcement.
That's the other thing so I think the 2 things Keeley is aware of, because he actually tweeted about this week during the Tokyo Game Show. He knows everybody wants Silksong, and he knows everybody wants stuff about the next Kingdom Hearts game, because people love Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. So
those 2 things are definitely on his radar of like huge gets that he will probably try to procure. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But I'm hopeful that this 10th anniversary of the Game Awards will be one to remember.
Hopefully that's the case. I guess we'll wait and see.
Have you been playing or watching anything?
Aside from Balatro and a little bit more Plucky Squire, not really. What about you?
I have only been watching Dr. Katz because I'm on season 5. There's 6 seasons. I think I'm like episode 4 or 5 of season 5. So easy to put on because they're all on YouTube. The quality is awful sometimes because it's like recorded off of VHS, but I'm loving them. So at some point I'll be in a world where I don't have any more to watch, and at that point I'll do something else. But for now, it's so easy to put on just like a 21-minute episode of Dr. Katz while I'm doing something, and I can't recommend it enough. It's such a good show, and it's available on YouTube for free.
You know what you should do is put the episode on your computer and then pull up Rusty's Retirement and play it while that's happening. Idea.
Or Balatro, frankly.
Or Balatro. Yeah, I this week I was getting caught up on some of the new episodes of Taskmaster while I was playing Balatro on my computer, and that was a very fun way to spend an evening.
I did something else. There were a bunch of tweets this week about how Spaced is 25 years old.
Man,
or 20 years old?
That's so old.
It's very old.
So old.
But I decided to watch Spaced, and it's on, if you have Amazon Prime, it's available on Amazon Prime through like Freevee. I don't know what that is, but you have to watch like an ad basically. But yeah, Spaced is great. Available on Amazon Prime. It's 25 years old. Check it out. It's a wonderful show to watch.
Yeah, Simon Pegg, if you like Simon Pegg.
Nick Frost.
Yeah, that's how I watched it when I watched it back when I first saw it. So they have a lot of British sitcoms on there, but you have to be careful because some of them are like, oh, you must subscribe to BritBox or this and that, and it's just like, well, I guess I won't get to watch this.
But yeah, pretty much besides Spaced and Dr. Katz, I don't think I played a game this week, which is kind of crazy to say. I'm still playing Cyberpunk. I'm in the DLC, the Phantom Liberty Zone, Dogtown. But I have kind of pressed pause on that while I am consuming Dr. Katz.
Yeah, I keep wanting to get back to Black Myth Wukong, and I'm always open to playing more of Space Marine 2 because I've been enjoying that. But this week, I've played a little bit. I spent less time playing things this week, and what I did play was mainly Balatro, but that's because we had like a new mobile version to check out. But yeah, I want to finish Plucky Squire. And we're very soon going to be in October, and I want to play Luigi's Mansion 2.
Ooh, yes.
I've been sitting on that game waiting, and the time is very nearly here to do that, but we got a new Zelda game to check out as well.
Very true.
So there's a lot going on. Hopefully we will be able to get in some time with Echoes of Wisdom so we can talk about that next week. But on that note, do you have an imparting wisdom?
Zach, I once was told that a way you can tell a well-designed house or a premium house is if the couches don't touch walls. The backs of couches don't touch walls. I don't know if that's true or not, but I needed a solution for charging my phone while I'm on my couch. Sometimes I'll get home from work and I'll need to charge my phone. And so I built a shelf to go behind my couch, and it was very easy to do. I just got 2 pieces of 6-foot wood. I don't know what kind of wood it is, but I just picked it up from Menards. And I got some brackets, and I made a little square without a bottom, basically. That was the exact height of the back of my couch. And I was able to slide it in behind my couch. And now I have a cool little shelf behind my couch that I can put a little charging station on, or perhaps a glass of water because I don't really have like a table in front of the couch. But if you are looking to plus up your couch and it is up against a wall, why not build a little frame to go behind there, and then you can put stuff on it. That's my parting wisdom.
Another thing you could do, because at one point my parents got this like wraparound sort of big giant couch that
like a sectional.
And so part of it was up against a wall, and it was so long that it had to like cover up where the outlets were, which was annoying. So we decided to get them this. You can get these cords that are essentially extension cords, but they look nicer. They don't look like, this long orange extension cord, but it has like a flat side to it so that when you plug it in, you can put the couch up against it and it's not going to like mess with, the cord that you've plugged in, because it's like flat on the side. And then it's like got a long sort of braided cable, and there's just like at the end of it are like some little places where you can plug stuff in. And so we got that for him. And so now you can still be on the couch, but you have this like cord thing that you can pull over and just plug your device in.
That's very cool. So just flush against the wall?
Yeah, fairly. I mean, it comes out, it has to come out a little bit because you have to be able to plug it in, but it's like way flatter so that you can still put a couch up against it without like breaking it, basically.
I didn't know that was a thing that existed. That's, I might buy one of those.
I was going to say, you might want one of those anyway.
Yeah.
Even though you've designed this nice little shelf.
We shall see.
Yeah, check that out. On that note, go ahead and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Starside Cafe, and subscribe to this podcast. We're on YouTube and YouTube Music and Spotify. So, yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.